Hello everyone. So we are back with the second video for the chapter 7, Weather, Climate and Adaptation of Animals. In the previous video we talked about weather, what is weather, how it changes, what are the effects of sun on weather. In this video we'll be talking about climate and adaptation of certain animals. Now what is climate? Climate is the average weather pattern taken over a long period of time, say around 25 years. Weather is based on everyday's weather conditions. So weather is on daily basis. While if you see climate, it is going to take weather of a particular place for a long period of time, around 20-25 years, and that decides what is the climate of the place. Suppose you talk about Africa. So in Africa, what is the climate? Now that climate is not for a particular day or particular month. It is for a couple of years together. How is the winter and how is the summer, depending on the temperature and the humidity and the wind speed of weather, the climate of that particular place is decided. The description of a climate includes information. So in climate, if you remember, in weather, what were the information, and in climate, what are the information? So in climate, information will be the average temperature in different seasons. So it is not going to be daily temperature. It's going to be the average temperature. So they will be taking, like, for this year, what was the temperature on a particular day, and then you add and you divide by the number of days. It was summer, and you get the average temperature of summer, then average temperature of monsoon, average temperature of winter. So that is how you decide the climate. It also talks about the sunshine and the sunset and what is the temperature during that time. It also takes certain extremes. So there will be cases where there are extreme temperatures or extreme rainfall. So that also is being included when we talk about the climate of a particular place. Now, when we talk about types of climate, see, basically there are only three categories. It is going to be hot, cold, or wet. So hot in summer, cold in winter, wet in monsoon. But no place can absolutely be always hot or always cold or always wet. There will always be a variation. So if we talk about Kerala, which is a place in India, which is a state in India, which is having rainfall, monsoon comes over there very early, and it is pretty hot because it is near to the equator. So what happens is this place is hot and wet. So when it is not raining, it is actually very hot and humid. The moment it starts pouring in, then it becomes wet. So that place is hot and wet. If you talk about Jammu and Kashmir, again, that is not that very hot, but moderately hot, and it is wet. But when you talk about Rajasthan, Rajasthan has got very high temperature. So most of the year it's very, very high temperature in summer, but in winter, again, it is going to be very cold. So when you go to a desert, when you visit a desert, you must have observed that during the day it's pretty hot, but during the night it is cold, because sand loses heat very quickly and it absorbs heat very quickly. So the nights become very cool. So the climate of Rajasthan is going to be hot and dry because there is no monsoon. It's never be wet. So it's going to be hot and dry. While we talk about northeastern India, that is the northeastern part of India, states like Sikkim, Meghalaya, Assam, they receive rain almost the entire part of the year. So even the state Meghalaya, which has Mawsynram, which is the wettest place on the planet, it's there in the northeastern part of our country, and that is why it's pretty wet. So entire year northeast is said to be wet. It's not hot, it's not cold, it is wet. When we talk about climate and the animals which live there, they get adapted to it. Before animals, let us talk about certain plants. So if you must have seen the places where it is hot and dry, like Rajasthan or the deserts, the plants over there won't have broad leaves because they don't have water. They will not have enough water to lose through transpiration. So the leaves get transformed or adapted in the form of a spine. So you'll have thorns over there, and that is, thorns is nothing but a modified leaf. Okay. The same way, the places where there is a lot of snowfall, the leaves are going to be spine-like structure so that they don't let the snow get accumulated on it and it keeps on flowing down. The places where there is a lot of rain, the leaves are going to be broad to take the water and leave it on the ground. So like this, even the plants have their own adaptation according to the climate they survive in. The same way, animals also will have to adapt themselves. Now, if you talk about a cow, now suppose you put the cow in polar region, cow won't survive because it doesn't have any fur or hair on its body. So what will it do? It will die of cold. So that is why all the animals which are there in extreme climates, they have their own adaptation. The animal that you find on plains won't be there on the mountains or polar region or tropical region. The animal which is there in the polar region cannot survive in the plains where it is very very hot. So depending on the climate of the place where the animal is residing, over the years there is an evolution. The evolution is in the animal and it gets adapted to that place. So they, because they need to survive, and for survival they will have to adapt themselves. So animals which live in very cold or hot climate, they possess very special features to protect themselves against extreme hot and cold, and these features they help them to survive or adapt in the surrounding. So we are going to talk about two regions. One is the polar region and the next is the tropical region. When we talk about the polar region, now again the name polar bear came from this only. So polar regions means the regions which are there near the poles. We have two poles, North Pole and South Pole on our Earth. So the polar regions are the places which are there on the North Pole or the South Pole. They are extremely cold because they are farther away from the sun. So they are extremely cold. Snow is there throughout the year. Okay, but now because of global warming, we have heard that the glaciers are melting. So again, there will be a problem for the polar bears and the penguins and the other animals, sea walrus, all who are living over there. They will have to adapt to the increasing temperature of our planet. So these polar regions, they are in extreme conditions. So that's extremely cold for us to bear. The temperatures can be as low as minus 37. So 0 is the freezing temperature of water. And imagine minus 37 degrees is going to be cold, very, very cold. So for 6 months, the sun even doesn't set at the poles. While for the other 6 months, the sun doesn't rise. So it's 6 months of day and 6 months of night at a stretch. Okay. And in polar region, we talk about the polar bears. So polar bears, if you have seen, the polar bears and the penguins both, they are white in color. And the snow is also white. They are not so colorful, they are white. That is their adaptation, so that there is camouflage and the other animals cannot attack them, their babies, and eat them. So the white fur is not easily visible in the snowy background, so that they are protected from the predators. Then the next one is it's very thick layer of fur, which helps them keep warm during the cold weather. So it insulates them from the cold weather. Again, apart from the fur that they have on their body, they also have a layer of fat under the skin, which is called blubber. So this blubber is there inside the skin, and that also helps them keep warm. They have long and curved, the claws are curved and sharp so that they can hold on the snow. And they have a very strong sense of smell because they will have to catch their prey. Their prey is going to be the fishes which are there. So they will have to look and they will have to hunt the fish which are there swimming inside. So it helps them to locate and catch its prey. So this was about polar bear. We also have one more animal in the polar region, and that is penguins. Very beautiful to see. And the penguins are always in a colony. So there's a group of penguins which stay together. They're very good swimmers. Again, that's an adaptation they will have to do. And because they are good swimmers, their body is streamlined. Streamlined means if you have seen a plane, the shape of a plane is streamlined. So it is like this, and from the front it is closed. That is streamlined. And the feet have webs, making them good swimmers. So feet are webs. If I open my palm like this and I have a structure over here, that is webbed feet. Okay, a frog has a webbed feet. It helps them to walk on the snow. So it increases the surface area and helps them to walk on the snow by balancing their body, and also to swim. Okay. Apart from the penguins, which are white colored, and they can camouflage in the white background. They have modified limbs, which are called the flippers, and they have thick, again, like polar bear, they have thick layer of fat under their skin. They don't have fur, but they have thick layer of fat under their skin to keep themselves warm. Apart from the polar bear and the penguin, we also have birds. Now the birds which are there, for them the adaptation is they will have to migrate to warmer places. So if you are aware, India also gets a lot of migratory birds from Siberia. So there are Siberian cranes which comes over here, there are flamingos which come over here. So a lot of migratory birds come to warmer regions during winter, and once the winter is over in the polar region, they go back to their home, and they can track their way out. So they don't need a GPS on their phone. They actually have a GPS in their brain, and they can track back to their home. Now, the tropical region. Tropical region is basically the region near the equator. If you can see in the image, that is our Earth. In the center line is equator. The red is the tropical zone, which is near to the equator. So obviously it is going to be extremely hot because the sun ray are going to fall vertically on it. Apart from that, we have subtropical region and the polar zone. Now in the tropical zone, the climate is very hot. The second is the coldest month. Even the coldest month is as high as 15 degrees Celsius. So minus, so you forget about it. It's going to be 15 degrees Celsius in winter. In temperature, in summer, the temperature crosses around 40 degrees Celsius. So it is going to be 45, it's going to be 49, it's going to be 50 degrees Celsius in summers. Days and nights are almost equal in length. So if the day is of 12 hours, the night also is going to be of 12 hours. So it's going to be 50-50 of very extremely hot conditions and little bit pleasant condition. These regions, they get plenty of rainfall, and that is why the tropical rainforests are going to be here. If you have heard about the Amazon forest, they are there in the tropical region. Now the animals which live in the tropical region, so animals, they have got adapted to living on the trees. Why on the trees? Because land is going to be very, very hot, or it is going to be extremely wet, and it's not possible to live on hot or wet land. That is why they live on trees. If you can see in the image, it's a red-eyed frog which has sticky pads. You can see the sticky pads on its feet to help it climb trees on which it lives. And to help them live on the trees, so this was the adaptation of red-eyed frog. Then you have of monkeys which have long tails for grasping the branch. So the monkeys that you find in the Indian city is absolutely different from the monkeys which are there in African rainforest or the tropical rainforest, because those monkeys' body is going to be small, but the tail is going to be pretty long for them to hold the branches. Now toucan is a bird. It's a bird with a long beak. You must have seen it in the Tarzan movie. That's toucan. So it possesses a long and large beak which helps it to reach fruit on branches which are otherwise too weak. And if it climbs on that branch is going to break. So because of this long beak, it can reach to the fruit which are there in the weak branches also. Camouflage is one of the best technique for the animals of tropical region to protect themselves. If you can see in the image, second and third, both have animals in it, and they have camouflaged according to the surrounding. It's actually amazing to find out that there are animals. Look, still in the picture you'll be able to find, but when you are in the real forest, it's actually extremely difficult to know where the animal is sitting or hiding. Even the lions and tigers, they have thick skin and sensitive hearing. They also can camouflage. The color is like that they can camouflage in the forest. There is this first image that you see, it is a lion-tailed macaw, and it is also called the beard ape. If you can see, there's a beard on its face. It lives in the rainforest of Western Ghats, which is in India. Its most outstanding feature is a silver-white mane. A lion has a mane, and this macaw also has a mane which surrounds the head from cheeks down to its chin. It's a very good climber, and it spends majority of the time on the tree. It is herbivore, so it is going to eat fruits and young leaves and stems and flowers. Now we talk about the elephants which are there in the tropical region. Now in tropical region you will be finding the African elephant and the Asian elephants. Now the difference between them is actually the size of the ears. The elephant that you see in this image is the African elephant because the ears are pretty huge. It uses its nose because it has a very strong sense of smell. And this trunk, so the nose is actually the trunk is used also for picking of food, for having water, for smelling certain things. So a lot of uses of the trunk are there. Apart from trunk, it also has tusk. Now tusk are the long teeth that you see. They are the modified teeth, and it can tear the bark of trees that elephant loves to eat. So elephant is again herbivore, so it will only eat leaves and trunk and fruits. So for that, it needs to tear the tree. It needs to bring the tree down so that it can eat the leaves. Large ears of the elephant help it to hear even very soft sound, because the ear are pretty huge, so it can hear even a pretty sound. And this year they also fan it during summer, so they keep themselves cool by fanning the ears, and that is how it can survive the very hot climate of tropical region. So these were the adaptation of few animals. I've taken examples of actually very few animals, but there are hundreds of animals in these two regions, that is polar and the tropical region. I wanted to find out, and tell me about some other animals which are there in these two regions, and write in the comment box, and then we can discuss it in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself. Do like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.